And again, you're descending 10, 9, 8, so forth. All right. So very, very simply put, you want to honestly take a look at your skill level in the business. Do you know what it is you're talking about? Do you know your products? Do you know your product knowledge? If somebody asks you a question, there's basically 4 distinct parts of Primerica. The first 3 are not a whole lot of fun. The 4th is where this business becomes awesome. First one is where you are unconsciously incompetent. You don't even know what you don't know. When you don't know what you don't know, it is tough to have a conversation with somebody. Somebody hits you with any type of question outside of what's your name, you're going to fumble all over yourselves, and that person's going to go, wow, that person doesn't know what they're talking about. And you're going to walk away going, man, that person thinks I don't know what I'm talking about. It's because you don't. You haven't gotten there yet. The second part is consciously incompetent. You now know what it is you don't know, and you're like, holy crap, there's a lot of stuff to learn. It's okay. Everybody eats the elephant the same way, one bite at a time. Don't get overwhelmed with it. Learn a little something every single day. Get better. Again, you want to master your skill. The second part of, the third part, I should say, of where it's almost fun is where you're consciously competent. Consciously competent is where somebody asks you a question and you're like, oh, I know the answer to that. And you're like, damn it, hold on a second, but you have to think about it. Again, your conversations take a little bit longer, but you do know what you're talking about, so you can give them the right answer. Where the business becomes a blast is unconsciously competent. It's where you know that you know that you know. The biggest challenge you're going to have is when somebody asks you a question, you're going to know what the answer is after 3 words roll out of their mouth, and you just have to shut up and wait for them to stop talking, or you're going to interrupt them and be a jerk. So when that happens and you can have a conversation and you're not scared and you're not intimidated, that's when this business becomes a blast. The problem is most people quit before they ever get near stage number 4. So don't do that. Get better. It does get better. Now, so skill. Really think about how much do you know? Where would you place yourself? Let's say you think, all right, I'm about middle of the pack, so I'm a 5. So let's just say you think you're a 5. Okay, that's cool. Now when it comes to leadership, do people like you? Here's a big tip. If you're happy, don't forget to tell your face.
That's a good one.
People don't like to follow people that they don't want to be around. Kind of makes sense, right? So considering this is a volunteer army, people can voluntarily decide to listen to what you're talking about, or they can voluntarily decide to ignore you. So if you're happy, don't forget to tell your face. And if you recruit somebody, don't forget to call them. Don't take their IBA and then forget that they actually exist on the planet. So you want to work on your leadership. So let's just say right now you figure, I'm about a 5 right now in leadership. Okay, so you're middle of the pack. And then activity. Are you really doing the things on a daily basis that it is you need to do? Are you making the calls you got to make? Are you doing the follow-ups? Are you doing the tedious business things that are required for you to get where you want to go? Most of the time people are like, I could probably do more. Okay, if you could probably do more, it generally means you could do a lot more. But let's just say you figure I'm doing about what I can do, so maybe I'm a 5 as well. So the way our brains work, we're thinking, well, if I'm a 5 out of 10 in every category, I'm a 5 out of 10, I'm a 5 out of 10, that's pretty good, I'm halfway there. Okay, so this entire theory blows that all out of the water, because what you want to do is you want to multiply your 5 by 5 by 5. Quick math for that?
125.
Exactly, so your 5 by 5 by 5 gives you 125. Now, anybody here ever watch a baseball game or know how baseball is scored?
Yep.
It's a batting average, right? Mm-hmm. So this 125 literally means that you're functioning at 12.5% of what you could be doing. Now let me ask you this. In a business where they pay professionals really, really well and everybody else not very well, how much money do you think you deserve to make if you actually have 12.5% of this entire thing figured out?
Not much.
Not much. And that's why a lot of people don't. And a lot of people end up floundering around because they think, man, I'm like halfway there. Why aren't I making more money? It's because you're not halfway there. It's a multiple. You're actually only functioning at 12.5%. Now, here's the scary part. And it's only scary because of the realization of what you have to do to actually become a professional and get paid here. Let's just say that you work really, really hard and you bring everything up a tick. So now you're 6 by 6 by 6. 6 by 6 by 6. Would seem good, right? No, not really. I believe that's 21.6.
21.6.
So you're still only functioning at 21.6. So you don't really start to get to the point where you're even remotely halfway there until you're 8s across the board. Now, the reason I started this with, don't compare yourself to other people. For example, those of you that were in Tampa Bay Leadership School, we had Carlos Leon. Guy came in, 35 months, $1 million earner. The reason he hit the ground running, if you listen to his story, is if you check out POL is going to tell you, IBA date to $1 million, 35 months, woohoo! It's going to leave out the fact that he was in another direct sales marketing company and he built a team of 2,300 people on his team before he left it and came back to Primerica. So if you think of skills and leadership, if you can recruit 2,300 people, how do you think he's scoring on leadership before he did his IBA? Probably up there. If one of the skills you have to have as a primary skill is recruiting and developing people, where do you think he was at when he did his IBA on that scale of 1 to 10?
9.
At least a 9. At least a 9. So, and the reason he came back to Primerica was he had a business that lost its biggest client. He went from making a residual $4,000 a month to $1,000 a month. I don't know what type of lifestyle you have, but there's not too many people that can function on $1,000 a month. So he, not only did he have the skill level and the leadership level, when he came in like his head was on fire because he needed to pay his bills or he was going to be homeless. So he probably came in at a 9 or 10 across the board, and he compounded that by 35 months. That's why he's making $1 million in his first 35 months, and that's why you're hoping to get your 10th sale in your first 35 months. It's all about the multiple. So I'll put up the rest of the multiples so you can see it. The 7 by 7 by 7, and if you happen to know it, feel free to spit it out.
3, 4, 3.
Oh, you got your calculator out.
3.
Oh, man.
I'm prepared.
8 by 8 by 8.
512.
512.
Not very
So
good.
right there at 8 by 8 by 8, you just broke the 50% mark. Now you're getting someplace. 9 by 9 by 9.
729.
All right. 729. So 72.9%. Now, very infrequently, I will tell you that will everybody get to 10s across the board. And quite frankly, if you ever sit back and you say, I'm a 10 across the board in everything, you're lying to yourself. You're not. Now, of course, if you hit 10s across the board, you're a perfect 10 at that point, or a perfect 1,000. But, does this make sense?
Yes.
Okay, again, you have to be brutally honest with yourself, because if you're lying to yourself and you're scoring yourself higher just to make yourself feel better, you may feel better about yourself for a minute, but you're only handicapping yourself long-term moving forward. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, any questions?
It was great.
Cool. This is also called the Trilateral Leadership Ledger, which is a mouthful. So, just call it the thing. I don't care.
Trilateral
Trilateral Leadership Ledger.